So if you have a Bible, let me just invite you to turn to Matthew chapter 19. Matthew 19, we're going to look at verses 3 through 11. And to give you a little bit of context for Matthew 19, the first time Jesus talked about marriage was in divorce was in the Sermon on the Mount. Sermon on the Mount is Matthew chapters 5 through 7. And it's like this perfect listing of what it would be like if you were a perfect believer, if you were a perfect follower of Jesus Christ. In other words, spiritually, we mature over time. And so it's really hard to read the list of things in the Sermon on the Mount because they're just like Jesus says, this is my values. This is what it's like in the kingdom. If you live the way I want you to live, here are the things that you would do. And that's the first place that Jesus introduced this idea of the intention of marriage and divorce. And here's what he said. He said this. He says, you have heard it said, this is not in Matthew 19, I'm just giving you some context. You have heard it said that do not commit adultery. But I say to you, anyone who looks lustfully at a woman in his heart has already committed adultery. And then he moves on, and this is not in chapter 19 here. Just listen to this. I want you to understand. He goes, if your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, then cut it off. It's better for you to go in life without a part of your body than to be thrown into hell. To which you say, what do you mean hell? What do you mean cutting off my hand? What do you mean by gouging out my eye? I mean, I'm really confused here. And then he goes on, he says, and you have heard it said that you should not get a divorce unless you give your wife a certificate of divorce. I'll explain that in a minute. But I say to you, anyone who divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, causes her to enter into adultery. And you say, no, wait, what do you mean, Jesus? I mean, causes her to enter into adultery. I mean, if someone gets a divorce, if I fall in love with another woman over here, and I divorce my wife and go with this woman over here, no, that's called a second marriage. Jesus says, no, it's not. And you're telling me if I do divorce this wife over here, I cause her to move into adultery? Uh-huh. And you're really saying to me that if she remarries another guy, both of them move into adultery? Uh-huh, Jesus would say. You say, no, you don't understand, Jesus. Adultery is when you have sex with someone outside of your marriage. And Jesus would say, well, there's something that you don't understand about the nature of marriage. There is something higher than what you get at in your culture. There is something bigger than what you understand. And that's the hardcore context for this chapter 19 and why these people come up to Jesus. Because we pick it up in chapter 19 of Matthew, starting in verse 3, and it says this. It says, and then some Pharisees came to him to test him. Now you have to understand, Pharisees are the religious leaders of the day. And they did not like Jesus. Jesus was taking away their power, their control, their leadership in the nation of Israel. They led these people many times errantly. And they were the ones that everybody was looking to for spiritual leadership. And they were horrible leaders. Because they were in it for themselves, in it for control. But what they did is this. They would often try to trap Jesus. Try to catch him. Kind of a gotcha kind of game. And so what they would say is hey, let's do this. He's already taught a little bit about marriage and divorce from this. Remember that sermon like up on a hill with all those people that came out to hear him? And so let's do this. If we can get him to contradict Moses, we've got him. I mean, Moses, he's like the ultimate prophet from God. He's like the ultimate guy who gave us the law. And so everybody knows Moses is from God. Everybody knows Moses is a great prophet. And so if Jesus says anything that contradicts Moses, we can do it in a public situation and we'll get him. We'll take him to jail and he'll probably be crucified. So they were always trying to trap Jesus. And so here's the deal. So this says, here's what we'll do. Hey, you guys, this little group over here, y'all come and just casually ask him a question in front of everybody and all these crowds. And then we'll see if he contradicts Moses.